Good morning and welcome back to Cannabis in Canada with Jason Wilcox. It is 7:04. I am 4 minutes late out of the gate, but I am getting better, shaving off that 25 minutes late out of the gate anyway. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. There was a recent constitutional decision. See, a lot of people out there think we're not fighting in the background as best we can when it comes to legalization and some of the rules set forth and quite frankly imposed on us. And my frustrations come out in different shows and I talk about different topics to really set forth what we're going to show today. And we got the news clip here and everything else to discuss. Knocking down that 150 gram ridiculous public carry limit. The reason I say ridiculous is because anybody with a public carry limit are worried about flying, whatever. 150 grams, if you want to take a 1 week or 2 week vacation, which is reasonable, it's what people do every year. If you want to take that vacation and you have a prescription that is, say, 40 grams a day, well, it lasts you for 4 days. Like it doesn't, not even. 40, 80, 120. So 4 days, you get about a 4 day supply, but you don't even get a 1 week supply. So then you have to illegally mail yourself cannabis to wherever it is you're visiting if it's in Canada. So say you're visiting Ontario. So it puts you in a position to be forced to almost break the law. So I'm glad that the judge ruled that it was unconstitutional to prescribe this amount, allow this patient to store this amount of cannabis, a massive prescription, by the way. But this patient, we're going to get into it. Don't worry, we're going to get at it. But the fact that this patient was able to stand up, go to court, I wish that this person had filed a constitutional challenge on behalf of the country, which is generally what I do. I've never filed a suit on my own behalf. But he was a defendant. So there's a difference. Like in Allard, we charged Canada. We didn't get charged to defend ourselves. That wasn't what we weren't. Please defend us. Help us. Give me money. Help me. No, we charged Canada and say, Canada, you're going to pay. And the citizens of Canada made them pay. So that's the difference that's why it says Allard versus HTMRL or whatever the hell it is. Versus like a case like RV Smith, where RV Smith is again Regina versus Smith, which is basically the Queen versus Smith, which always means if you see RV anything, it means that person is a defendant. And in our case, Allard, the government was a defendant. In this constitutional challenge, the judge found, let me just pull this up here. We'll just jump right at it, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about real quick. I thought I'd jump on this morning. I don't usually do this. I like doing pop-up shows, get different audiences, different times. Gives people a chance to see we're still here. On a side note, just before I switch over here, actually no, let's just stay on this. Okay, send this over. So this is from CBC News. Now, CBC News, it says, patient who uses 100 grams of pot per day granted right to possess a kilogram at a time. Now, we're talking about public possession. We're not talking about what you're allowed to store in your house. As you all know, you're allowed to have an unlimited amount of cannabis if you're a medical patient under the Access to Cannabis for Medical Purposes regulations. Anyway, Allan Harris argued the constitutional rights, liberty, equality were violated by the 150 gram limit. Of course it's violated, and it's not equal. How could it possibly be liberty and equal when we all have different prescriptions, or we all have different doses? Some of us have 500 plant licenses and 60 gram licenses. This guy, I don't know how he got a 150 gram license, but whatever. It is what it is. That worked out to 1 kilo he's allowed to now possess. So, as you read down, it said the federal court granted a medical cannabis patient the right to possess a kilogram of marijuana at a time, ruling that the 150 gram regulatory cap violates his constitutional rights. Now, if he had done this for all of us, Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms kicks in. What happened, or what's decided for one is decided for all. So in a way, it's case precedent setting, and we can all use this. This is why I'm reporting on it. You guys need to know that if you get arrested or charged for being over 150 grams, or get a ticket or whatever they try to do to you, you can quickly point your lawyer, no matter, even if they're legal aid. The most simplest of lawyers can reference case law. Paralegals do it every day. Anyway, continuing on. Allan Harris, who has a doctor's authorization for a daily dose of 100 grams, argued the 150 gram limit impeded his ability to travel. He said it's also costed him dearly financially. I've talked about this since 2012, that these caps cannot continue. You can't be capping how much people carry in public. You can't be capping really how much they grow. It's between the patient and the doctor when it comes to medical, and they're emulgating medical and recreational, and almost omitting and phasing out medical. That's how it feels anyway. And again, I talk about the cap. The cap prevented him from leaving his home for longer than a day. So again, this is what I was talking about, not because I read the article, but because I've made this argument on the show going back 5 years. For all I know, he's seen it on my show. I don't know. We talked about this a lot. I'm making sure that people understood that, there are ways to challenge, especially if you're the defendant, because it makes it a lot easier when you get charged. It's easier to get charged or something to then challenge it. Now, I'm not sure. This gentleman may have actually done what I did and put the government on trial, except it looks like he was charged at something. It doesn't say what he was charged with or anything, just that the ruling was in his favor. In his ruling issued Friday, Justice Henry Brown said Harris's rights had been infringed. In effect, Harris is under a form of house arrest brought about solely because of the inadequate, low, cumulative total possession limit manifesting itself in the circumstances of his particular case, he said. With respect, this is injustice. And it is. It's a violation of his Section 7 Charter rights, right to liberty, 100%. And I'm glad to see that the judge could do that. So as we continue down, you can see, I'm not going to read the entire article. It is posted in the write-up for the show for that reason. It was an extraordinary high amount. I don't really care. I think that if your license permits you to grow 60 grams, well, then you should be able to have at least a 2-week supply of 60 grams. It should be 2 weeks of anything, so you can go on vacation without worrying about illegally mailing yourself some medicine. It's just retarded. The government's got this backwards and set up so that people get caught in these clauses. And this is exactly what's happening. Irreparable harm that befalls the patient. Damages. This is why I love lawsuits. You see, first we get to kick their ass in court, but then they got to pay us. They got to make things right. You'll notice here that cannabis activist Jody Emery, I guess she testified in this case. Jody Emery said 100 grams would make about 200 small joints of about half gram each, and about 100 bigger 1 gram joints. Large prescription doses are usually for patients who need substantial amounts of dried product to make food items for other consumables, she said. Blah blah blah. I can't read worse shit this morning. I gotta wake the fuck up and do some dabbing here. But Jack Lloyd, once again, new superstar. Again, he took over Mr. Kurt Tusaw's practice. I know some of y'all have your opinions about Kurt, but I love him. He's still one of my superheroes, and so is John Conroy. Now John Conroy and Jack Lloyd are working together. I've sent John Conroy a letter recently letting him know that my company and my organization is willing to get behind any medical case he may decide to launch and try to help them with funding. It's something that we haven't done, we weren't planning on doing, but we're quite frankly feeling like we're getting backed into a corner. And the courts are continuing to rule in our favor and finding this word right here: arbitrary, overbroad, unconstitutional. These are the common words you're going to find in every single legal constitutional challenge. This is number 17 that we've won. 16 really that were federal and national that impacted everybody. But this one here is number 17, where once again it's unconstitutional to restrict somebody. So everybody thinks that we have to follow these laws. No, we don't. Sometimes you have to break the law to change it. Now, he's also pleased with the favorable court ruling, but added he would like to see his class exemptions for people with medical conditions, so he was thinking of others. To litigate this matter, every time it arises, would exhaust the people it affects the most. I would also note that it would cost court costs and a lot of wasted, just wasted cost overall. Many of whom are chronically ill and unable to defend themselves, especially if required. So anyway, nobody from Health Canada is willing to commit to a comment on the court decision, saying only that all public possession and shipping limits under the Cannabis Act and its regulations remain in effect. Do you notice the language in this? See, Health Canada is very smart. Under the Cannabis Act and its regulations. Hello, this was a medical patient under the ACMPR, which is part of the Cannabis Act, but part and impartial too. One's medical, one's not. This is what I mean by we're slowly being omitted, even in the write-ups in the news. So between the media, mainstream media, and this, we need to all keep our head down. And the legal cap for recreational marijuana, as we know, is 30 grams. So this has also, there is another article on this where it goes on to say that the distribution sale could lead to criminal penalties ranging from this. Yeah, this is the other thing. Possession, production, distribution, sale outside could lead to penalties ranging from a ticket to prison sentence of 14 years in jail. You can lose your entire life over cannabis, yes. Welcome to legalization. 14 years in jail if you possess more than 150 grams. So heaven forbid you got a quarter pound on you and all of a sudden, bam, that's it. It's a travesty for our country. It's why I wanted to come on and talk about it. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't address it, we ain't going to be really doing anything. And I know some of y'all are getting tired of politics shows. You just want to see a bunch of weed heads smoking fucking bongs, banging on some fucking high res and kick-ass fucking live resin. Come up to Beard Brothers Red. Patrick has been doing this, I think, 11 years now up at Redbeard's. You guys know him as Redbeard there, glass blowing. It really brings the culture together here in BC. It's really good to see the different clans, if you have it, different groups. There's so many different people now, all converging on one place, just to have a good time, listen to some music, and do some camping. And the Beard Brothers will be up there. Myself will be up there. You're going to see Sci-Fi in the house up there. There's going to be a few different things going on all at once. And you'll see us up there Saturday anyway. That's the day we plan on being there, and at least myself. And then the Beard Brothers, of course, they're going to be there all weekend as always. You know those boys, they just party hard. And as I told you guys, the Beard Brothers Collective has not went anywhere. And that's what needs to be noted and stated, that they haven't went anywhere. They've been busy doing things. And, and we just kept plugging along. But, it's like every time I remember when they won their last set of trophies, it's like, the DJ up on stage even knew their name. He's like, yeah, Beard Boy or Beard Bro's back. All right. It's like, it's true. You guys watch and see. But I'd also say watch out for high voltage. This is stuff that I'm dabbing on this morning. I also have some Sci-Fi live resin here that I'm also dabbing on. That shit'll mess you up. Sci-Fi's flower. I mean, if you've ever had Sci-Fi flower, you'd understand it's really a branded 6-7 strains that are core to that he grows, but mastered, and when they're mastered for smoking, it changes everything. It really comes down to the grower. It tells me that grower can take any strain and make it smell good. It doesn't mean the strain's going to perform well, but it means he's got that curing and the flushing and everything else that's fundamental to finishing your crop. He's got down perfect. And when you then take that perfect flower and run it into perfect extract, it's amazing. And this, as you guys know, high voltage almost sat me on my ass. I got two different kinds here. This is a different one. This is a sour amnesia, so I'm assuming it's a sour, one of the sours, either sour diesel. There's just so many different different offshoots and hybrids off the sour. And the amnesia is coming in the past 5 years, I think 6 years. I'm not sure who bred it, but I'm assuming this is a cross. But this stuff here, greened out, my friend, first dab. So, you know, people talk about that and they think that it's not real, but I'm telling you now, it is real. You think your friend's having a seizure at first until you realize, unless you've seen it before, it's not the funnest thing to watch. You know, some people just black out and then wake up, and other people look like they're having a seizure. You know, and it's not a cool thing, because you think that they're actually under, but really it's just like seeing a fighter get knocked out in the ring or on the street. You know, if you get knocked out, you wake up numb, and, you know, you're kind of, when you're unconscious, you're just kind of like, you know, you look like you're in a seizure, but you're not. You're just unconscious. You know, you've been fucking stunned like a fish hit over the head. You know, you're just, you're done. So that's all we need to understand about greening out, because I don't want that to be the next big thing in the newspaper, them saying, hey, look how all these people are greening out and how bad this looks and how bad this is for their head. You know, I don't agree with greening out. I don't think anybody should dab to the point of greening out every single time. Unfortunately, my friend can't seem to handle tolerance, strong dabs. So he, you know, I've tried to convince him to stop doing it. At least in front of me, he doesn't do it now. But you know, he still does it by himself. I don't know why. Like I said, it's like, why don't you just become Muhammad Ali, or, you know, and kill some more brain cells? Because basically, it's like getting knocked out every time. So, you know, you do want to be careful with your dabs. But aside from that, it also speaks to the volume and the strength of the dabs. And then of course, when it's live resin like this stuff, like you can get, they got sauce, they got pens, they got everything. Check out highvoltage.com or beardbrothers.com to see what's happening and what's going on with the various. I mean, there's just so much going on in the culture. And what I love is the resistance. We are the resistance. I almost feel like we're in Star Wars or something, and it's like, you know, we're the final fucking frontier. We're the final resistance that's saying, you know what, fuck y'all. I don't care if there's 174 y'all and the government. You know, we're still not going to stop. This is a free and democratic people, and we are a free and brave country. And if we truly are, like really the grandfathers or grandmothers of this country laid down the foundation, they were hard as fuck. And they sure as hell didn't kowtow to fucking the government's every single legislative fucking letter, line, page, policy, procedure. We didn't get to liberty or to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms without first having a women's rights movement, a civil rights movement. We had all kinds of different movements. Hell, the 70s was a mockery. I was just a young one, but either way, if you didn't know your history. So, anyway, it's one of those things. So I'm gonna get back into dabbing, but the other thing I wanted to talk about today was also the capping, which we covered last show. I touched on this Sunday. It's bothering me about the capping because I don't think people are fully. I'm looking around for a signature bottle and I don't see one. Shit. The one thing people are not fully grasping is the math, and other people are. A friend of mine was recently very, very sick in the hospital, and he had yet to ever feel the real benefits of just CBD. Now, I'm not a big proponent of CBD. You guys know this. I love promoting CBD, but I believe in the entourage effect. There's 113 phytocannabinoids in that plant for a reason, that turn into endocannabinoids when we ingest them. So there's or smoke them. But there's a lot to be said there that we haven't explored more. If there's 113 and we're only talking about 2, THC and CBD, then we're doing a disservice to this plant. So, though I don't subscribe to it, my bro tried this CBD, and of course, now this is 1 gram to a 30 ml vial, which if you do your math will bring you to exactly 1,000 milligrams. Now the federal government of Canada has set a cap on 30 milligrams. Let me repeat that. We put in 1 gram of isolate to 30 milliliters of oil, and we get out 1,000 milligrams of CBD, because it's already 99.5% pure or higher. So it makes me wonder, how is it going to even be possible for these corporations under that sort of legislation from the government to compete with us? Other than to do what they just did. Pass another law that says you're going to give us more time, you're going to throw us in jail longer if we make oils and we sell them. Heaven forbid we teach that person, hey, you can actually cure your cancer for $40 for a vial or $50 for a vial instead of $100 or $200 or $600 like Tilray is charging the Australians. It's wrong. This isn't a money game, not with the health. I get it with the recreational users, do what the fuck you want with the weekend warriors. I couldn't give a shit until they wake up to the reality that there's no such thing as a non-medical user. And I'll keep saying this on my shows so that one day I can go back and I can say, look, motherfuckers, I was saying this shit in 2020, 2019. Now you guys are just figuring out that you're non-medical users. The only reason the government's telling you you're non-medical and that you don't have a CB1 and CB2 receptor cell in your fucking head and all through your body, the only reason they're not doing this is because they don't want you to know. They can't tax medical. Once they give cannabis a DIN number, then they're going to not be able to tax me or anybody else any further. And that's reality. And that's why they have to have if you read the Cannabis Act of Canada, you'll see non-medical, and it's in quotations. They make sure that non-medical. And I believe that they're also going to strike back at medical again because they're trying to say that it's almost pseudoscience that the endogenous system exists when it's founded in science and founded with Dr. Sanjay Gupta on CNN. I mean, he was the Surgeon General nominee for America a few years back. So, I mean, honestly, there becomes a point of rationale and there becomes a point of stupidity. And setting these caps, these limits, just wrong. I don't know how else I can put it, how else I can say it. Capping at 10 milligrams for THC, it's the same thing. I see people, I mean, people are trying to tell me, oh, it's 10 milligrams per pill inside the bottle. And the way that I've read the legislation, it's just like the vial. It doesn't matter. It's one unit. One vial is one unit. So in that unit, you can only have 30 milligrams of CBD or 10 milligrams of THC. And that ain't going to do shit for nobody. You're going to have to eat like 75 bottles to get what I give you in one bottle. And that's wrong. I don't care what anybody says. They're just diluting it, reselling it to the people, and marketing the shit out of it with fancy websites and commercials about how miraculous it is. And of course, the World Health Organization, they reclassify CBD to be medical. It's the only cannabinoid in the entire plant that's medical. Anyway, I don't want to get myself riled up here. It is one of those hard things. When I'm on commercial break here, I'm going to do a dab and I'm going to try and grab this. I pulled it up last show, but I don't have it up here, which is the 10 milligram guideline bullshit. But it is what it is. I mean, again, I'm going to get into the chat as well. I don't know why that didn't download. Huh. Okay, let me figure this out here. I'm going to have to go back over to here then. The other thing I also noted in the news was, again, this goes back, I want this, I'm going to throw this over. This matters. This is just a morning pop-up show here. You want news? Here's news. Calgary Stampede weed ban raises questions about smokers' rights. Smokers' rights? What? You mean we have rights? So basically, I think what this article lends to, and we'll see, drinking beer in your Cowboys boots is totally fine, but smoking a joint at the Calgary Stampede is off limits. Organizers have banned consumption of cannabis on Stampede grounds for both recreational and medical users. Now, banning the medical users is completely unconstitutional and could potentially cause a lawsuit if somebody had a seizure or needed their medication immediately. That being said, let's just continue. Weed is allowed to be into the event, but individuals will have to exit the gates to smoke it. Organizers say they are simply following Calgary's bylaw that prohibits smoking cannabis in public spaces, but critics say the decision heavily-handed and unfairly penalizes medical marijuana smokers who are considered an exemption in the city's public consumption bylaw. And it isn't considered an exemption, it's a constitutional right. And it's under federal guise, not municipal law or provincial law. So they can both just take a fucking hoop and fuck it, because it don't matter. You can't do nothing to us. And this is where I hope that the citizens, I hope you guys light up in Calgary. I hope you go there, light up, get arrested, and change this law. Change these ridiculous regulations that would have these big cities turn us into criminals again, turn us into crackheads. You know, no offense to my friends addicted to crack, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're trying to make it so that we're the bad guys. Go ahead and smoke your cigarettes at the Calgary Stampede, but fuck, heaven forbid if you light up basically smoke your cancer stick, but don't smoke your goddamn healer stick. You know, one stick will heal you, one stick will kill you, and they allow the one that'll kill you in, and they ban the one that'll heal you out. It's messed up. It definitely shows that we are behind the times. Cannabis has been legal for almost a year now. Gordon Hayes, who's an excellent advocate out of Calgary, we all know him. I mean, the Hayes Bros goes back quite a ways there. Also, the Calgary Cannabis Club, where I've had the pleasure of visiting a couple times. Recreational cannabis was legalized last October after the Liberal government passed Bill C-45. Also known as the Cannabis Act, several provinces, including Saskatchewan, Manitoba, New Brunswick, PEI, and Newfoundland and Labrador, have passed laws banning public consumption of weed. Calgary passed its bylaw 6 months before weed became legal nationwide. Anyone who tries to stop smoke or who tries smoking weed at the Stampede will be asked to stop, organizers said, but no penalties are in place. You know why that is? Because you'll be sued, bitches. That's why. They're just gonna. Yeah, this is wrong that they're doing this, because see, they're not going to use police, they're not going to use any regulations, because there are none, to actually stop a medical patient from medicating anywhere in public. You know, especially at an event. You know, if you need to vaporize, you should be able to vaporize. And Alison Meriden has done great work in Ontario trying to show people this. And of course, she's in a wheelchair, which makes it a little more pronounced when she sets it forward. Even advocates, let's skip down here, even advocates raise concerns about medical cannabis users. They say allowing a person to consume medically prescribed weed could violate their charter rights. It's not could violate their charter rights, it does violate their charter rights. You cannot stop a medical patient from consuming their medication, nor can anybody touch it. So even if that medical patient is sitting there smoking a joint, if somebody tries to touch it in their hands, that person can then be charged accordingly. Not to mention whatever happens, additional duress added to that patient. And I believe that being evacuated or ejected for medical cannabis use from the Calgary Stampede, provided that you weren't blowing your smoke in other people's faces or something, or being a dick. I hope the Hayes Bros and others go down there and just light up, and somebody take the charge and take whatever they're going to do, or film them ejecting medical patients out of the goddamn building for simply having their medicine. This goes back to our fight to have our cannabis normalized and not criminalized anymore under Reefer Madness 2.0. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Anyway, for my friends down in Calgary, check out the Calgary Cannabis Club. These cats are always pushing up freedom and continuing to hold it down for the province of Calgary, or for the city of Calgary. It's very important that Alberta continue to stand strong and be strong, and hold it down, just like BC, just like everybody else. This isn't a time for us to play around, that's for sure. We know this. And when I see stuff like this, it's just like, damn. It's like, yeah, what else can you do? Now I'm starting to get into some of the chats here. I'm going to switch off to a commercial break for a minute. And I'm also going to try and get into my chat here. So I'm hoping everybody is having a wonderful, I believe today is Friday, because I have to leave tomorrow for Patrick's. So, yeah, it is what it is. For anybody heading up there, once again, we will be up on Saturday, and looking forward to seeing past and present people. Some people we haven't seen in a long time. Our last show got a lot of traction on the 420 issue. I think I'm going to leave that issue alone until I talk more with the 420 organizers here in BC and find out exactly, what's happening next year. I'm interested to see what's going to be happening up there. Good morning to everybody. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chats now. So good morning to everybody, and thank you. Exactly, what's happening. I hate hearing my own voice. It trips me out. Hey, Daniel. Good morning, bro. Mike Gooch. You Ontario boys, you're all up early. I hope that Mike. I hope to see you down there. Justin Loazos is throwing an event on July 28th in downtown Toronto, and I will be attending that event as well. And we'll be partying it down. It'll be a lot of the remnants of the Ontario faction of the coalition that will be attending this event, kind of coming back together and celebrating, where we are at. We can sit there and say, well, this isn't fair, and that isn't fair, and this isn't right. And you know what? That's pissers and moaners. The people I'm getting together with, we got together to fight the government and win our gardens back, and that's what we did. So that's what we're going to celebrate. And are we happy with legalization? Not necessarily. We're not happy with legalization here in Canada. We're not happy with another unconstitutional ruling of 150 grams, which we already knew. We deal with the 150 gram limit in Allard, but I think the judge was so busy ruling the whole program unconstitutional that the one part, the 150 gram limit set forth in the injunction, really hurt us. That was all carryovers from the MMPR. That 150 gram public carry limit was part of the marijuana for medical purposes regulations that was thrown out by the judge. So with that, should have went the 150 gram limit. Why it didn't, I don't know. The judge kept it in. And that's always been a pet peeve of mine. So I'm now, at least we have case precedent setting. So now if somebody gets charged, we point them to that case and we tell them, let your attorney know about this case. And the fact that they've now allowed this patient based on his prescription. Again, I think that what would be fair is that the federal government of Canada, since we fall as medical patients under Health Canada's federal guidelines, we do not fall under provincial like the recreational people, the weekend warriors that buy from these corporations. Those people, they fall under provincial and municipal legislation. Medical patients have constitutional protections that supersede provincial or municipal legislation, and quite frankly, we don't need to follow it. That's why that Calgary Stampede article sticks out for me. You're going to let people smoke cigarettes in there, but you're not going to let them smoke cannabis. Now, if there is a medical cannabis prescribed patient in there and they're about to have a seizure and you prevent them from having their cannabis and they seizure, well then I believe that that's irreparable harm befalling a patient. And that's what Allard was all about, was trying to find out, is there irreparable harm to using cannabis, and is there not? And there's no irreparable harm. That's what was proven. The balance of convenience fell to us. That's why we won the injunction. That's a restraining order. First by Justice Manson, then of course the Crown appealed it, cost us more money. Then we went up in front of a 3-panel judge. And the 3-panel judge, they also agreed that the balance of convenience fell on our side. There was going to be irreparable harm that would befall 36,000 patients with medical gardens and not the general public. And then after 4 judges have already said this, we went to trial and kicked their ass a 5th time. So again, we have to remember how we got to where we are and where we're going. And I got to somehow get to a commercial break. I keep going over here to download this one video, and I'm just not getting it done. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. And I look forward to seeing you, Maurice. Mike, hopefully you make it down. I know it's a long drive for you, bro. Daniel, I'll be seeing you. And yeah, there's a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of our friends in Ontario. That's for sure. Going down to see family, meeting some new people, and definitely looking forward to seeing some friends, especially after the first start of the summer. I'm also going to get a chance to meet one of my close friends online, because they work with the administration team that I work with, but because they live in Ontario, I haven't had a chance to meet them in person first. So is it 28th, Mike? It might be the 28th. I don't know. Pay attention. Justin Loizo should have a poster out. When he does, I'll let you guys know, and that poster will give you guys information on where the event is. It's going to be an event with music, and I'm not sure what else Justin has planned, but the kid's very creative, I tell you. I say kid only because when I met Justin, it was fun to see him rise and come up in the cannabis culture, and make his own name and his own staple without replicating or trying to steal other people's property. He did it on his own because he's an originator like myself, and he's not a replicator. Dan Nelson, long time no talk. How you doing, brother? I'm coming home to Oshawa in no time. So yeah, good timing to tune into the show. Good to have you on. I know it's early in the morning, and today we've been talking about dosing. Now that I'm into the chat, I'd like to get you guys' feedback. Please give me your feedback on some of the stuff I'm talking about here. On break, I'm going to grab a tincture bottle, and maybe it'll put it... I don't got 75 tincture bottles to line up on the table and then to hold up the one bottle that they're going to dilute just to make 75 bottles for profit and underfeed your endocannabinoid system. We don't even know how much cannabinoids the body takes. We don't know if 1,000 milligrams is too much. We don't know if 30 milligrams is too much. We don't know shit. All we know is that nobody gets hurt, nobody gets sick, nobody dies. But the more CBD, the more people heal. So why cap it and restrict it if not for money? If nothing else. These are troublesome times for our country, my friends, and I think we all need to recognize that. Where are these going? Do what? Alright, well, I'm going to download again. And put it into downloads. Okay, I'm talking to myself, but bear with me. Now, I got a little legalization speech here. It's just a little 1-minute clip here that my editor clipped up for me, that I have put up on my YouTube channel. It's not just licensed producers. Yeah, that I have put up on my YouTube channel, but it's people forget that this was filmed 4 years ago. So what I'm saying in this video, even though it's come to fruition, was said 4 years ago before it's ever... You guys ever would have seen it coming. So it's like chess. You're trying to think 3 moves ahead and 3 moves behind. It's very much like that when you're dealing with fighting a monopoly. And quite frankly, the federal government working with them doesn't make it any easier. Now, of course, everybody's going to say, that's not possible, Jason. The government could never work with big business. That's illegal. I know. There should be, a proper investigation launched, but they're not doing it. It is what it is. There's not much we can do to change what they do or what they think. The political agenda right now is so strong for people to. The political agenda right now is just so strong for this country to be monopolized that they're stopping at nothing to make this happen, and it's just like, wow, it's like they're really stopping at nothing. The legislation, the increased penalties, the threats now that if you get caught selling oils, then you're gonna face even more criminal penalties than if you didn't sell oils, only because the licensed producers knows their oils are shit, total shit, and should not be given to a patient, especially at $80 or $90 a vial. Some poor old nanny that doesn't know any better. Good jobs, you big fucking crooks. Nice Armani suits, by the way. That's the kind of people that, again, I can work with ethically sound people. I cannot work with people that money drives their lives. If money drives your life, I believe your moral compass needs to be checked. But that's just my opinion, and I'll say it to your face. You know, it's okay to make money. It's not okay to have your moral compass out of check. That just makes you an asshole. Speaking truth to power. Some people may still think you're an asshole, but at least you're speaking truth to power. You know, so I'll say I'm gonna try and throw this over here. This ought to be interesting. I'm gonna throw this over here. Hopefully it plays, and I'll see you guys back in about 2 minutes, and we will try to wrap up the show. But in the meantime, please, in the chat, I noticed the chat started to light up on YouTube. Guys, ladies, please let me know what your thoughts are on 10 milligram caps. Remember, 10 milligrams per vial. I'm gonna grab one here. 10 milligrams per vial, or 30 milligrams per vial. Is that enough for you for $90? Would that be enough for your mother or father if they lived in Australia, if it was $600? On that note, we'll see you guys in a couple minutes. It's not just licensed producers that we have to worry about. Right down here to the smallest brand. If you're in the cannabis culture, you need to be alert to what's going on, because you have to say, what are you going to tell your grandkids? What are your kids going to tell their kids, etc., about what you did at this time when they were legalizing in the country of Canada? What did you do about the future of this country in relation to legalization of cannabis? We've been fighting all these years. Now we're going to legalize, but are we just going to let corporate business take over? Or are we going to kick up dust and like the Americans would and fight for a free and democratic society and a free and democratic market? On that note, I love you all, and I came out here honestly just for that point. I love coming here, and thanks, Michael.
These are my people, these are your people.
It's not just licensed producers that we have to worry about. Right down here to the smallest brand. If you're in the cannabis culture, you need to be alert to what's going on, because you have to say, what are you going to tell your grandkids? What are your kids going to tell their kids, etc., about what you did at this time when they were legalizing in the country of Canada? What did you do about the future of this country in relation to legalization of cannabis? We've been fighting all these years. Now we're going to legalize, but are we just going to let corporate business take over? Or are we going to kick up dust and like the Americans would and fight for a free and democratic society and a free and democratic market? On that note, I love you all, and I came out here honestly just for that point. I love coming here, and thanks, Michael.
These are my people, these are your people, these are our people. This is
That's strong. Oh, I cut that off a little bit early there, but that was Mr. Puff Dog Thomas. Yeah, man, it was fucking Puff Dog's been a hold down again. You know, all of our foot soldiers that have fought in this war, from when I say war, since the monopoly decided it was going to move into Canada. It moved in under the guise of medical. You'll all remember this. And they move in under the guise, we're medical, we're medical. I said, these aren't medical. Corporations don't make $10 million, $20 million investments, you know, unless they're here for a long time. And they're not going to make that kind of money off just medical. So legalization wasn't that hard to see coming at us, to be honest. Oh, damn. That
was a bit.
I'm gonna screen myself out in the commercial break. But the other thing, like when I filmed that, and this is the reason I'm saying that was filmed like 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, when I was on the road with Dano planting the Seeds of Liberty tour. As soon as the coalition ended in 2016, this would have been 2017 that I gave that speech, and that's just a little piece of it. That was an Instagram clip. There's a longer version of that speech, but it really sets forth what I said. We need to be ready for these people. They're setting up all around us, and they're coming for us. And of course, the crowd would clap, but not everybody fully understood the magnitude that I was trying to talk about, like Galen Weston, Chuck Raffishi, powerful people, people that have Galen Weston with money, Chuck Raffishi with political power. You put the two of them together, and yeah, the rest is history. I have a 60 gram. I'm watching the chat here. I have a 60 gram a day license, so you guys can talk about what people do or don't need in a day. I can tell you now, and again, this goes back to just Google this. Like I always say, Google this shit. Show me where it tells you anywhere other than Israel that 1 to 3 grams would be enough, or that any amount of cannabis would be enough to feed the endogenous system adequately, properly. Human beings can tell because we take it. So if we feel like we're too stoned, we're like, I'm good. Just like with alcohol, I'm good. Any drug, you're going to stop if it's too much for you. And it's like cannabis. It's the same thing. If you want to knock yourself out and go to sleep, well, then you just take a little more than you want to take, and you're going to have a good night's sleep. Wake up in the morning refreshed. So on this show alone, I seen somebody posted, I went through what gram today. I mean, each of these containers is a gram, and this one's almost empty. This was the beginning of the show. So as I was setting up the show, I'm still coughing because I did such a big dab on the break. But this is Sour Amnesia live resin, again, the sativa from High Voltage. And wow. Again, when I open this up, this isn't a word of a lie. You can set, it's like having a nice fresh bud that you just harvested. I can set this right here, and you can just smell all the terpenes. And they're not organic, they're not fake. They're not from other plants. When I say organic, I mean they're actually from the cannabis plant. So it makes a big difference. Capping. Okay. Let me do the math, please. THC, CBD. Okay. 30 mils. Just Google this. How many milligrams are in 30 mils if I add 1 gram of powder? And see what you get. And you'll be surprised to see that you get 1,000 milligrams are in one. 1,000 milligrams are how's this working out? 1,000 milligrams are in 1 gram. So 1 gram of CBD goes into each one of these little vials when they're done properly, when people aren't trying to rip you off. That's when you should be paying probably $80 a vial by the time the person puts their work into it. In this case, this brand has coconut oil, avocado oil, rice bran oil, and it has a binder, soya linten, which is very important if you know about your baking and how to bind your cannabinoids to work better. And for the delivery mechanism, using 3 different carrier oils in different ratios, that's all R&D. And I know this company's been working on that for a long time. And that's just straight CBD. Now, where I'm going with this, 30 milligrams of CBD. 30 milligrams of CBD. And this is a herbal passion, by the way, if you guys are wondering. Now, 30 milligrams of CBD, we have to think, okay, Jason's got 1,000 milligrams in that little vial. So how are you going to get 30 milligrams into the exact same vial, which they're doing, 25 milligrams THC, 25 milligrams CBD, and it's $600 for a vial like this that's only 25 milligrams strong. Not a word of a lie. This channel doesn't lie. We've been on the air now for 16 years or something. Don't know what else to say. Do the math. Think about what the government's doing to us, we, the people, and the patients who don't grow for themselves, don't have access to CBD isolate to make these oils themselves. You'll never be able to run your magic butter machine enough or find a strain with enough CBD to get to 1,000 milligrams, which is really between 700 and 1,000 in the anecdotal research that we're looking at. People treating cancers and MS and everything, they're not using no 20 milligram doses. That's a weekend warrior dose. That's an introductory dose. That's like, hey, welcome to cannabis dose. But my God, for somebody who's suffering from cancer, MS, Parkinson's, I could go down the list of ailments that this stuff helps with, for inflammation, arthritis, the elderly, all these different people, they're getting ripped off. They could get this from us for $80, but we're going to go to jail. And it's going to heal them. But they can order and get ripped off by these corporations under the federal guidelines of the government. Again, the federal government's writing this legislation. They're capping these amounts with no foundation. They're not capping it because you're going to OD. Think about it as CBD. It just got reclassified by the World Health Organization to have medical value, medical properties. The World Health Organization supersedes the goddamn federal government of Canada, but clearly not today. You know why? Because us sheeple are sitting back, and there's only a few people watching this show that have the balls to actually think about standing up and fighting and saying, you know what, Jason's right, there is something up to this. Look into this. And I want you to really think about this, because I've watched us stop seizures, help people with Parkinson's, help older ladies take a shit with this one, the THC actually, quad infused, 700 milligrams estimated than when we had it tested. This is shit that really bothers me, because I can make it for myself. I'm blessed to have a lot of friends in a lot of different places, and I'm able to have access to things that I'm able to make for myself. But the fact that they're restricting me from sharing it with you, that's a travesty. And the fact that they're even going further as to restrict 174 corporations that set up in this country for legalization. And again, this actually lends to my argument that they're pushing medical patients out the door. They're pushing us aside and saying, there's no medical value, forget that. That's Reefer Madness 2.0. If you realize that you have CB1 and CB2 receptor cells in your brain, and how much cannabis controls your brain, there's a lot of university students that are going through university right now smoking cannabis, know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, you feed your endogenous system, it will reward you in a host of different ways. Especially with CBD, when it doesn't make you high, but actually takes away your inflammation, brings a calm and soothing feeling to you, lowers your anxiety, but doesn't make you high. But the government feels it justified to take you from 1,000, again, 1,000, 1,000, I think. I'm stoned. Well, anyway, I suck at math. But anyway, 1,000. There you go. So there's 3 zeros on 1,000. They want to do 30, capped. 30, not 1,000, 30. I just, you know, again, I was going to set up 75 bottles here and show you guys what it looks like. I was going to go out, buy 75 bottles and set it up, and I just thought, fuck, I'm tired of doing friggin' demonstrations trying to explain to people. Y'all smart enough to do the math. Find out what 1 gram goes into 30 milliliters of oil and see what you get. And then you'll see why I'm so upset, because I've healed, and it's who I choose to heal. It's who I choose to work with, because I know they keep their mouths shut, you know? So we don't run dispensaries and shit. We just help one another as patients. But most importantly, when you see stuff like this, you know, and you know that the federal government of Canada is serving up patient stuff that is inferior, no wonder they're going back to pharmaceuticals. Big Pharma wants their business back. I'm sorry, Big Pharma, but the internet's changed the game. It's leveled the playing field. Now we can internationally share this information. This show reaches people internationally, either on YouTube or Facebook or however it gets across there, or it reaches a person who talks to their friend or overseas. Every person I reach knows 5 people. You politicians should know that. And all my numbers are organic. I've never dialed my show. I won't buy a million hits for fucking nobody. You know, that's just for fakes, frauds, and phonies. You know, you want to be a fucking real soldier, walk your talk, be straight, transparent, and truthful, and time will always tell truths. It's my hashtag for a reason. And I'm still sitting here for a reason. All these people talking conjecture and shit, you know, years ago, where are they now? This is the shit that we as a country need to look at. They are continuing to set up around us. I don't know how else I can word this. They are literally setting up around us. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at these last ones here. I think this one here would be an interesting one. For some reason YouTube didn't flag this one. I'm interested because, you know, I often wonder why do they flag certain videos and not other ones. Almost every one of my videos are flagged. This particular one, even though it says Cannabis Nightclub B-Boys Battle, it's a break. It's basically, we had a dab out with the Beard Brothers. We're dabbing people out, and there's break dancing and all this crazy stuff going on. But it is what it is. But and once again, this is. I really don't want to drop off this topic first, so I'm going to switch over to that after. We're not done this show, that's for sure. What time is it here? We've been going for 56 minutes. I knew I was getting close to that 1 hour mark, but I'm just going to keep rolling with this. As long as you guys want to keep going a little bit longer anyway. Most important, check out Redbeard's event, Redbeard's Glass Gathering. I believe this is the 11th or 12th annual. Jesus, I've been to so many of them back in the day when it first started. I haven't been to one in a long time, and I'm looking forward to just going up and saying hello to some old friends and getting some footage of my bros, which is my job, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I just wish that we didn't see so many of our events closed down. I mean, we had the Concentrate Open, for instance, that Tim Powers did, an amazing event that raised a lot of money for a lot of good causes, and even if we take out the raising money part, we could still have these events, but we're not having them, and it's killing our culture in BC. I don't know if Toronto's facing the same problems or not. I'm look forward to coming home to see. But, you know, here in BC, we're facing these problems. We seem to be very, very much so pulled apart. I'm hoping to see... Good morning, Dustin. I'm really hoping to see something different happen. Oh, it's not going to be any better. It's fucking noisy as fuck. Alright. I'm gonna... Oh, I see. I don't even got my logos up or nothing. Look at that. That's how stoned I am today. You know what? Fuck it. I will do that. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so think about this, guys. Again, THC, home infused. Now, the difference with THC, this isn't because I have THCVA isolate. It's coming, but anyway, I don't have that right now. So these oils are just made by quad infusing or dual infusing. And what I mean by that is you'll run, say, 3 ounces through your magic butter maker to your whatever it depends on what you're making. I mean, I don't know, some people's tolerances are different. But if you're making a really strong, potent oil, generally that's what you'll start with, maybe 2 ounces, per batch. And then when you make the first infusion, then you would strain it like you normally would, and you would take that oil, let it cool, put it back in the magic butter maker, take brand new flour, and re-infuse it again. And then repeat 4 times to get quad infused. That's what I need to go to sleep. 2 times is what this is. And when you just do 2 times alone, you get really high levels of THC. Well, of course, CBD comes up as well. But you gotta remember, CBD is fractional. It's small compared to ratios of of THC. When you look at the cannabinoid spectrum, honestly, it's like CBD's like this little and THC's like way up here. So that's the reason it's so much easier for us to make our THC oils in a magic butter maker or whatever. It's just knowing how to re-infuse them, knowing which carrier oils to use, delivery mechanisms. So like MCT oil, avocado oil. Why? Triglycerides. It allows it to absorb in the body faster. Also the omegas. You want to add some hemp oil. Get your omega-3, 6, and 9s. That'll allow your body to absorb all these triglycerides and oils. Allows your stomach to absorb 3 times the potency of what it would have been if you used, say, virgin olive oil, a much lower, or a rice bran oil, or something that's a much lower triglyceride oil compared to MCT or avocado, which are basically equal to each other. It's just MCT oil will cost you an arm and a leg. Avocado oil is $10 a bottle. So to each their own. When you're making your own, there are a couple little free tips for you. But that's an important thing. And again, I'd like to see the comments. I'm not seeing the comments. You know, you guys have to be as mad as me. I don't see how you could not be, because my biggest fear is if I can't grow my plants and I have to rely on something, it's either got to be my friends, and luckily I have a few, or I got to rely on these corporations. And if these corporations are not going to be able to supply me with what my body's used to taking, then it immediately is, it takes away your quality of life. You can hear me almost just trying to say, like, it's serious. It takes away your quality of life, and that's a big one for us. You know, medical patients have to have a quality of life, have to have some sort of standardization of a quality of life. And if we don't do that, then we're screwed. And what the government's doing by capping this, they're capping it based on weekend warrior stats, people that don't use cannabis stats. Do you feel this? Well, you know, if you take somebody that's never used cannabis and you give them 10 milligrams, they're going to feel it. Yeah. They're going to say, yeah, man, I'm high. They're not going to know what high is until they do a fucking dab or something. Speaking of which, until they do a dab or something, they're not going to know the difference. So I'm going to have to mute this for a second here, just because otherwise you guys will go crazy over my... One sec here. Make sure I don't play both these at once. I'll put my dancing gorilla on for you. Alright. Let that cool down for a second. Oh, microphone on. Microphone check. Yeah, it's on. Oh, I got a green screen though. That's no good. Yeah, that's a little better. Maybe a change of scenery will do better. Maybe some rock cliffs. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know why they're not crossing over. Huh. Anyway, welcome back to the show, guy. Great friends, so blessed. John, Wi-Fi, morning. Sorry, trying to catch up on the comments. And we're jumping into this. If there's anything that is also breaking that I don't know about, please feel free to weigh in. If you'd like to come on the show, also feel free to contact cannabisincanada@gmail.com and send your cannabis curriculum vitae, basically, and just let me know. Yeah, I don't know what this is. What the hell was I doing here? I don't know. I was trying something new here. What was I doing? See, you guys can still see me. Oh, I was trying some picture-in-picture shit. Don't mind me. I'm just messing around here, guys. Anyway, that's what dabbing does to you. What can I tell you? These are fucking big dabs. Crazy dabs. Back to full screen. I'm sure you guys like the plant porn better. So I might just leave the plant porn on. I don't know. I should get more of my other pictures of the garden, and that will change things. Computer is definitely running slower. No, I let that cool too much. Almost pooched my dab. See, there you go. That's why I'm glad it's on the smaller screen. Alright, there we go. I'm going to switch back to this screen. I apologize for the noise of the torch. Okay, I think I got this fucker hot enough. And pooching no more dab. Oh, that's hot. Roast my throat. I know my rig's dirty too. So anybody making the comments, I know. But you know, when you're alone here, it just happens the way it happens. I gotta get some fucking ISO and get this thing cleaned. Ah, damn. You guys gotta try this high voltage, I'm telling you. You see how big those dabs are, and I'm not really coughing that much. Yeah. Sapuya. Well, let's maybe try this scenery. Bunch of the different scenery shots that Vicky and I have taken over the years. we don't generally share to Instagram and stuff, so whoo, that's twice. I'm gonna end up greening myself out right on this show, and you guys are gonna really have something to talk about. You know, that shit'll go viral. Yeah, baby. Dano, I can't wait to see you. Oh, this shit's gonna knock you on your ass, man. I haven't had dab sweats in so long either. That's the other thing. You know when you got good dabs is when you start to sweat, and that's the real shit. That ain't fucking with you, you know. Oh man, I think I hit that a little too hot. Okay. Now, anyway, back to business. So, caps on limits. What kind of comments we got here? Let's see here. I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna end up greening out right on the show here. Holy fuck. Shit's still climbing on my head. I am trying to read the comments. Yeah, I know. He's supposed to be a green screen monkey too. I just can't figure out how to get the green screen to work on him. My daughter had it working before. Well, Justin, you got about 2 months to go, so hang on. Remember, it's the hottest time of the year to be growing. August is not the best time to be flowering. You're going to be flowering August or July, August, and into September. God damn. make your nose run as well. That's the other thing you'll notice. Hoo-wee. So Russia. I like that picture better. Alright. So do we have any other breaking news that you guys want to discuss? Clearly these dosages you guys are okay with. Or I've got something misunderstood and maybe nobody wants to tell me. Honestly, it's fair to, this is a show where it's fair to just say, hey dude, that's not my understanding. My understanding was it reads this way. Everything that we've read and everything we've been discussing on this show for weeks now, or months, years. Holy fuck, he's coming to fruition. Wow, that had like fucking 2 different kicks to it. It's like it fucking hit me once and then hit me twice. And it's very interesting. I'm telling you, check this shit out. Sour Amnesia live resin. It's a sativa, it's a daytime one. I definitely hit that too hot. I can hear it sizzling when I fucking hit it. Anyway, so for you guys, what is your take? Now, Dan Nelson, you haven't been around a little while. It's been a long time. Well, that was probably a 1/4 gram fucking dab. It was too hot. I'll show you with the next one if I recover from this one. That is, as long as you don't hit it hot, you're fine. Vicky always said I hit it too hot, so it's one of my downfalls. Well, Dan, I'm glad you say that because Dan, we need more fighters. If we decide to go back, I'm waiting to hear from the attorneys because it's not up to me. If the attorneys want to do this again and go back at this again and say, okay, we're gonna rock this, and we're gonna fight because medical's not gonna get sidelined. This isn't right. You shouldn't be doing this to us. And we fought in Allard. We paved the driveway to legalization, and just because we made it so that everybody can grow in Canada, and these 174 corporations aren't going to make all their millions that they were going to make on the stock market, that's their issue. That's their oversight. They underestimated the willingness and the passion of medical patients. I'll be back in 1 sec. Alright, welcome back, guys. Oh. Whew. Actually, that gave me tears, man. I almost greened out on the show. That ain't no fucking playing. Ain't no joke even. I was like, fucking, I'm like, I mean, like, for real. That was the closest I came to greening out probably ever. That thing had a second kick to it. It's like you feel the first one hit you and you're like, damn, I'm getting dab sweats. And then all of a sudden the second one hit me and I kind of shook my head trying to shake it off. And I thought I was going to go under. I felt my arms going numb. It was fucking... Anyway, sorry. But you dabbers out there, if you've done this, you know what I'm talking about. At least if you've hit the real shit. So, you know, if you haven't hit the real shit, check out highvoltage.com. Check out beardbrothers.com. You know, check us out and find out where the underground's still holding it down. And you won't have to ever... I keep saying this. I'm sorry, I really roasted my throat. Yeah, that was a big... because I have a big thick... You know that big thick glass? I forgot that I put that big banger on there. And it retains a lot of heat. So right after I turn my mic on, of course, I start talking to you guys. I don't pay attention. Bam! Roast my throat. And if you've ever been a real dabber, you'll understand what roasted throat feels like. You learn. That's why we do low temp dabs, so you don't roast your throat, and you also don't waste a lot of your dab. But you can see it went right to my head, and I can hardly talk right now or focus. But here nor there, that's what medication does to you. So I'm going back to my pot pleasure. This feels better. There. Now I don't look so big. I can hide in my corner. You guys can look at the weed. But I'm going to get a bunch of weed pictures together too. I don't know, maybe this one has a bunch. I'll have to see. No, but I could probably build some. I wonder if I could do this on the fly. That would be kind of cool. I'm just recovering now literally from that too hot. So don't dab too hot. If you have a machine, you don't have to worry. But if you're using a torch, like honestly, if you're hitting that shit hot and you're wondering why you burn your throat or why it makes you cough so much, that's why. It's not the dabs. It's a fucking dabber. And in this case, because I've been dabbing this stuff for days. But I thought I'd hit a nice big one and hit it on the show. And I feel like I'm going to friggin', yeah. Smacks you sideways, makes you think twice about friggin' what you just did. Anyway, what the hell was I doing? Oh yeah, I was looking over pictures. So, shit, this is gonna be a tough one because I have everything on fucking backup drives. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. There's a cool picture. Haha. Check that shit out. Booyah. I can do it on the fly. I love this software. See, one day when I'm not actually having to talk to you guys, watch the chat, and do all this other stuff, I'll be in the background making other people look good by not being on the show and just running the board and being able to do cool shit like this, like split screens and, you know, backgrounds and shit and on the fly changes. So it can make it a lot more fun. Yeah, I live in down. Hey, my front lawn is 4 lanes of traffic. I'm telling you, I might be in a condo, but my front lanes is 4 lanes of traffic, and that's no fun. It's no fun to have that. I hate downtown, and the ambulance comes to my building probably once a month for ODs or otherwise. And it's unfortunate that this fentanyl crisis is going on, and they're more focused on making money off marijuana. But this is maybe this is where we can continue with the show. I don't know, because I was so upset over it. You know, where do you draw the line? No, I see some good pictures now. This was 4/20/2017. There's a good look of our people. That looks good. I'll add this one. So anyway, guys, the dosing, I mean, honestly, are we going to just, I mean, I know Dan, I've heard you, and Dan's somebody who was served with the coalition and has, again, walked his talk. There's people that'll say, oh yeah, I'm pissed off, but they don't actually do anything, and that doesn't necessarily help the situation. So what we're trying to do is fix the present day situation. And the best way that we can do that is to address it and find out, okay, we just have a constitutional ruling that says it's unconstitutional, the 150 gram limit, says this judge. So this is an opportunity for us to add that to a potential constitutional challenge, if you follow me, a potential constitutional challenge for all of us, if we could get a lawyer that will pick it up, like Mr. Jack Lloyd and Mr. Conroy. It's only part and partial to many other things. I believe that the dispensing has not been done properly for medical patients. We need different dispensing than medical or recreational users. We need different education. We certainly need a different location that we're not cattled through. We need to be treated like human beings. We are disabled, and we should have the time to learn and get educated about what it is that we're taking. And without those abilities, it's something that we're not doing anything about. So right now we got this case that we can address all these issues in one simultaneous. Like, it's a good lawyer once told me, as long as you have good 10 points in your statement of claim, good 10 solid arguments, then you can hope that one's probably going to stick, and it's very true. If you really believe, if you find 10 good sound arguments, then 10 are probably going to stick. And that's an important thing for everybody to keep in mind. So, it's whatever. It is what it is. I'm hoping that a medical case gets launched. We had a chance for a medical dispensary case, and I've yet to hear back yet what we're doing with that. I've released Mr. Conroy's statement that he had regarding all this. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to play with this here at the same time. You guys can tell I've obviously been dabbed out. Like, this is the definition of dabbed out. This is how it feels when I'm sitting there laughing at people because I have such a high tolerance all the time that normally I would not be like this. So, anyway. Where's my cappuccino lady? God damn it. I know, dude. Dan out here, it's a pandemic, and they're not addressing it. They're too busy worried about our dispensaries and what us cannabis users are doing, and instead of addressing the actual opioid crisis, they would rather uproot people that are stable and potentially throw them into the opioid crisis than actually address the crisis. It appears. I've taken kind of a couple months off now to work on me and work, on the company from the outside, trying to get us ready to be full on this year. And I was been kind of working on that. Not expecting to potentially go back to war with the government. This wasn't in my agenda, that's for sure. I mean, it's extremely hard to deal with sometimes. What can I tell you? It really is. Right now, dealing with seeing that people are not really noticing, or maybe they're noticing and thinking there's nothing we can do. I don't know. I try to understand why we're not doing more, and I don't fully understand it. So, it's just one of those things, it becomes a frustrating situation, and that's just the way it goes. But, we do, and this is the problem, Dan, is, here, let me pull up what I'll do is I like to show what I'm talking about, and provided my computer doesn't crash, because I am it's feeling very hot right now. So, Yeah, that's a motherfucker when you're dual streaming like this. So this thing's gonna break down on me one of these days. Way too much power. Okay, John Conroy. Just bear with me here, guys. I'm trying to find it. What the fuck? Medical permits. Anyway, you guys go ahead and keep chatting in the chat there for a second. I'll find it. Because I have a lot of emails between John and I have to make sure it's a public release. If I don't, then I could really get in a lot of trouble. So please bear with me. Okay. I can start from here. Alright. Pull this up here. And I gotta get this over here and then send it over. Okay, so here is a letter from Mr. Conroy. I know it's gonna be tough for you guys to read. I'm trying to open it wider now. My computer's just, everything's slow, so it's gonna be delayed. But yeah. And I didn't share this out at all on YouTube, so if any of our friends watching on YouTube could share this out to their respective networks, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, this here is null and void. We know now that the provincial government has spoken here in British Columbia. What I'm interested in is here. So this is what Mr. Conroy was ready to do. With respect to the medical dispensaries' federal constitutional challenges, we are in the process of reviewing materials received and gathering further materials with respect to preparing a statement of claim and making an application for an interim injunction in federal court trial division, as we did in the Allard case. There, we successfully argued that the MMPR were unconstitutional in trying to take away the medically approved patient rights to grow their own or have somebody grow for them, as interfering with their reasonable right to medical access, access to medicine. Here, we will argue the ACMPR is unconstitutional to the extent that they omit to provide medical dispensaries / compassion clubs as part of their reasonable access or medically approved patients, or for medically approved patients, bearing in mind that the license to sell cannabis for medical purposes is a federal license is a federal license, and the provincial legislation does not apply to medical cannabis. So I was talking about this earlier in the show. Once again, medical purposes is a federal license on affidavits, a federal license, and the provincial legislation does not apply to medical cannabis. This will be a simplified procedure action as in Allard, seeking a declaration of constitutional invalidity, which is an injunction, through the special federal court procedure on affidavits from patients across the country and related to medical dispensaries and compassion clubs. This case will not involve Vancouver bylaws, as is a constitutional challenge that will apply federally across the country to all those in similar circumstances, namely medically approved patients and medical dispensaries / compassion clubs. As in Allard, if the court agrees with us and grants us the declaration, it will likely be suspended for declaration for a period of time for Canada to amend the ACMPR so as to provide setting out a definition. Anyway, I'm not going to keep reading this. You guys can read this stuff. It has been posted several times. My problem with it is that there's no dispensary owner that stepped up and said, you know what, I'll be the plaintiff. I'll sign on the line. I'll build an army. I'll raise you the money. I'll fight for the patients. Here's where you can donate. Conroy and Company, barristers. Make sure you always, whenever you donate to John Conroy, he has his own trust account. So if you just put John Conroy, it'll go in John Conroy's trust account. You need to put in trust of medical dispensary, federal court constitutional challenge. Problem is, nobody's fundraising or really doing that. And again, in the interim, he says, in my opinion, he says, in my opinion, if you, as a compassion club or medical dispensary, are being threatened or hassled by authorities, with further steps being taken to close you down, whether you were or are part of the Vancouver dispensary case or not, you should take the position that you are awaiting and expecting some guidance from the British Columbia Supreme Court in the BC dispensary challenge. Now, we got our guidance. They denied us. So this moves us on to what comes next. So it says, but unfortunately, the court decided not to decide the constitutional question with respect to whether or not the dispensary is part of reasonable access for medically approved patients / members / clients in order to ensure for them a regular supply as not to violate their constitutional rights under Section 7 of the Charter. So we're talking Section 7, Section 1, and of course potentially Section 15. If John goes there, I don't think he'll need to go past Section 7 again. And that you are aware that the appeal has been filed to the British Columbia Appeals Court. Now again, that appeal has been decided, so this is null and void now, that last sentence. And of course, this is John's contact information. That was the notice of appeal against the BC government, and I released that accordingly. So this is where we're at right now, is that this case, and let me just switch cameras here again. Weird. I see what's going on here. I have to go to here. I have to drop that down. And okay. Trippy. Okay. Whatever. Alright. Back to the ocean view. Sorry, everybody. I'm still recovering from that dab. Like, I'm not even joking with you. I can hardly read that friggin' statement from John Conroy to you. Good morning, Matt. I gotta get over here to YouTube as well and pay attention to what's going on. People are probably waking up a little more. No, we're still only a few people on YouTube. We had a little wake up chat there, and then it kind of died off. What are we at? 134. We're gonna go to the 2-hour mark today and then kill it. But yeah, I'm just killing some time. I'm also trying to push out Redbeard's event. I gotta find out his page here. I wish I knew it. It's a bit of a drive up the mountain if you live in the lower mainland or in the really in the BC region. It's a couple hours from quite a few places. So this would be the glass gathering page. I'm trying to see if they have posters or something set out. Yeah, I'll just throw this over for a second anyway. So we're all be for Saturday is going to be down here. There's the Redbeard Gathering, and we're all in this together, announcing the 12th Great Canadian Glass Gathering theme. We're all together, is very important. I really like that theme because it actually is what it's about, bringing our culture back together. This year's our event is focused on community and education. By sharing knowledge, we lift each other up. We're all different. We're all unique. We're all in this together, and that couldn't be more true. And a lot of us have seen the good, bad, and different now within this industry, that it isn't a matter of if, ands, or buts. We can see it, and you can see there's going to be a lot of cool glass blowing. There always is. I find that the coolest thing. I burnt myself. I still have a nice scar on my leg from burning myself on the kiln. I actually bumped into it stupidly when I was stoned, but whatever. Anyway, kind selections will be there, so Tim Powers and friends. There'll be Beard Brothers there. There's going to be a lot of, again, this is, I believe, what is 12th year? Yeah, so I thought it was the 11th year or 12th year, so I was close. That's a long time. It's been so many years. You remember a few that you attended, and then you remember the ones that you haven't attended. So it's going to be good to be back this year with the Beard Brothers. And well, the last time I think we went was probably 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been a while since we've actually attended. I know that there's probably a better page, but I just wish I was better with this on the fly, and not so distracting to you guys. But anyway, I just wanted to show that. I wish I could show you a map to where it was. That's what I'm trying to find. There must be a better information section that would give me all that information, but I'm not seeing it. So all I can do is just leave it at that. But it's up in Burke in BC, so it's near Whistler. I just don't know where. Without coordinates and that, I won't know. The poster just gives you the general spew on what's happening. But again, it for 12 years to have done the same event. It really builds community and builds a good vibe. And Patrick's really a really outgoing, good person. In general, and really puts his heart and soul into what he does, and believes in what he believes in. And what I think is cool is he gets to live the life that I always wish I could, which is live out in the bush and not have to deal with all this city crap. Sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it gets hard living in the downtown core because you see more than you want to see, and you don't really get a chance to get a break, especially in major cities where tourists and everything are making up the day. Oh yeah, no, exactly. Patrick is very outgoing. I mean, I first met Patrick, probably 15 years ago. I don't know, 10 years ago. At 420 when he was promoting the Great Glass Gathering, so we started going, and we kind of stopped for a little bit there due to all the travels with the coalition, but we ended up going back this year again. I got a call from my bros in they said they're going. They wanted to have me up there, and so there's a bunch of us that are heading up, and it's going to be an interesting weekend. And I like the theme of this year's event. So it'll be interesting to see what the community looks like now. Like I said, it's very unfortunate to see that the cannabis culture has been, quite frankly, violated. Like it feels like we've been pushed aside, and that's one of the hardest parts. To be honest, it really is. God damn, I'm stoned. So don't do that high voltage, and do not do a huge friggin' dab when you're on break. That was stupid of me, but what can I say? Now, I can't believe that nobody is saying, well, if you're still in Oshawa, yeah, we should get together, bro. I'll be there. I'm visiting my sister, but I'll have a rental car or something, and we should probably get together and do something. Sometimes it's good just to get away from the family anyway when you're doing all that stuff. So, that said, it's also important for us as a country to ask ourselves, can we get behind our lawyers again who want to get behind us? This is what bothers me is that like I just read to you, there was that's basically a letter of intent, and a trust account open like in Allard, that would allow everybody who wanted to donate, and nobody's done anything. And I believe what could be added, I believe that the scope and the spectrum of what dispensing covers is not enough. I believe that there's education. I believe that the dosing caps are issues for patients that don't grow for themselves and are forced to buy from this monopoly, and they're being restricted to pay higher prices for lower quality. I think that's wrong. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they're not using their floor scrapings for their oils. There'll be some that'll follow the rules, and then there'll be some that'll cheat, like the guys that got caught with 700 hockey bags. Oh yeah, sorry, that was Canopy Growth before they changed that was Tweed before they changed their name to Canopy Growth because they couldn't have their name attached to that bust. I haven't forgotten Tweed. I've brought this up on other shows. Other people haven't forgotten. Our lawyers haven't forgotten. And now that the 900 pages are out, and we know now what the particulars were, we know now Canopy Growth, you were bringing 700 pounds in hockey bags of pre-cut weed ready for distribution to sell in Ontario at an inflated cost to medical patients that you bought from BC growers illegally. Nobody was charged, nobody went to jail, and the RCMP, but now I see why, because they're all in your boards of directors. Makes sense. But, you got Bill Blair in your back pocket. What more you need? It's sad. It's sad to see. So, that's all I can say is this is not like it wasn't predicted. It's like some of my friends used to think I need a hard hat or something, because it's like, this guy's like really, he's really out there, he thinks he can sue the government, or he thinks he can stop the government, or like right now what I'm trying to tell you, like these things are going to hurt us in the long run. They're going to hurt the plant, and they're going to help the pharmaceutical industry and their lobbyists, and they're going to make them happy. And that's all these politicians care about, is who's going to fund their next campaign. So the lobbyists they need that lobbyist funding. They need those donations, as they're called. So it's really sad that's that is what it is. So sorry, I was just looking at I'm reposting it right now, actually. Just an old post of somebody I don't really talk to anymore, but that's what it is. We're almost coming to the end of this here. Got another 15 minutes, and I'm really struggling to hang on. God damn, this high voltage. I'm telling you guys, check out highvoltage.com. This is one of those times where I'm not messing around. if you're a dabber, anyway. if that's your thing. They also got pens, they got cartridges. Yeah, check out their site, see all the stuff that's there. But when it comes to quality, speaks for itself. It's got me sitting here saying not focused on anything else. Did it again. If I can't pull this up. Looking for actually an article to support what we were talking about. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I found it. Okay. Okay, so have a look at this article here. First off, it's global news, so it's not anything small. This is what matters to me. For example, cannabis products intended to be administered orally, as in the oil I was showing you earlier and I was trying to tell you about, administered orally, rectally, vaginally, or topically, must not exceed a maximum yield of 10 milligrams of THC. Cannabis products intended to be used in the human eye will be banned. A lot of this has changed. This seems to be an older report. But that 10 milligram, and then there's a 30 milligram cap on CBD. And this is where they talk about THC and CBD, so I'm hoping that they'll show the caps. No, then they get into the microbreweries. Okay. So, anyway, there was that. Take this back over. Trying to find where it has the Licensing Cannabis Compliance Act. That's the motherfucker. Cannabis regulations. The Gazette. And just bear with me. I know I'm going. Dan, I'm floored that nobody in Canada has clued in. I mean, you and I, you served on the national committee with the coalition for our earliest years, and a lot of us could see the writing on the wall, and it was like a freight train coming at us. And some of us knew enough to get out of the way, and other people just got railroaded, quite literally, and smashed into. And some people even got destroyed. I've seen guys lose their houses, their wives, their lives, quite frankly, over investments in what they thought was a dream, that they were going to be kings of cannabis here in BC just because they were part of the cannabis industry for 2 decades, and no charges. And that wasn't the case. It became about big money. And like I said, people like Allan Weston that owns Shoppers Drug Mart, that he can't even stock his shelves on time for legalization. That's how far behind, how fast they push this, and how far behind they are, because they are worried about what we would and what we wouldn't learn. So it's just my opinion, but it's what I believe. I'm trying to find that one article on goddamn caps. Feds proposed, this is the one. Alright. At least one of them. Okay, so I'll throw this over. Just before we close out the show. BNN Bloomberg. Them talking about their stocks. I really don't care about that part. But what's interesting is it says here, because topicals, they will allow 1,000 milligrams. So if you want 1,000 milligrams of cream with infused CBD, 1 gram of CBD, you can have that to apply to your skin, which is good, really good, for arthritis and other stuff. But for me, it's not good enough, because you should be able to take it orally as well at that same dose, as we already do. It's them that set these retarded regulations. Anyway, Health Canada stated that there will be a cap of 10 milligrams of tetrahydrocannabinol THC, the main psychoactive ingredient found in the cannabis plant, per package of edibles. Cannabis extracts will be limited to 10 milligrams of THC per unit and no more than 1,000 milligrams in a package. That's interesting. So that might mean that it could be 10 milligrams per gummy bear, for instance. But there could be 1,000 gummy bears in that. Well, not 1,000, but 100 gummy bears in the package, and that would make 1,000 milligrams, if my math's right, or 500 milligrams, whatever. Shit, I suck at math. Anyway, 10 milligrams THC per unit. And see, when it says per unit, that my problem with that is that that's the THC vials, and you're not going to get more than that unless it's per cap, and that's what I'm trying to figure out here. More than 1,000 milligrams in a package, so I'm assuming that allows you to have 10 milligram capsules and up to 100 of them in a package, I would assume. Sorry, up to 100 of them it would work out to, I guess. I'm going off the top of my head, but I believe it would be 100 you would be allowed. So 100 gummy bears or 100 candies or 100 chocolate bar pieces, whatever, as long as it was 10 milligrams in each piece. I don't know if that's the right interpretation. That's very confusing language. But cannabis topicals such as lotions will be limited to 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of THC. As I said before, there was 1 gram of THC in the vial I was showing you. That's what they're basically replicating us. And the regulations in the regulations outlined define the products containing cannabis that are intended to be consumed in the same manner as food that can be eaten or drunk. Extracts are products that are produced using extraction processes, methods, and synthesizing phytocannabinoids such as vape pens, and topicals are cannabis products used on skin, hair, or nails. Cannabis oil products, which are currently legal and sold across Canada, would also be included in these specific classes. So that's also an interesting read. For those selling vape pens, that's why we've seen a big influx in vape pen production recently. That said, there's also Health Canada said it will release the formal draft regulations for cannabis on December 22nd. So I've often told you guys that I believe that they always drop it on us around Christmas. They're very good at this. I launched the coalition in December of 2012. That's when we first started fighting for our gardens, because that's when they first said they were going to eliminate them, and made a formal announcement and formal, proposal to pass. We stepped in at that point. So anyway, stuff for everybody to think about. It tells you a couple things. There's going to be future amendments, and it's not very clear what those amendments are. And the longer medical patients stay silent and keep saying, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it, we don't care that we didn't get our license, or keep screwing us around, we don't care, it's not good. And it could backfire on us and work against us. So hopefully people pay attention to what I've suggested this morning, and honestly take it into account, take it in for what it is. As our country under still a very much so a monopoly attack. Only they've got a stronger foothold. Now they've got dispensaries. Now they've got microbreweries. Now they've got, they've got more and more to argue in court and say, no, reasonable access is met and the right to liberty is met, because you don't have a right to grow a plant. You have a right to access cannabis for medical purposes. Know your rights, understand how to implement them, and most importantly, understand what the Constitution has already protected medical cannabis users. You are not under the jurisdiction, as I read you in John Conroy's letter, you are not under the jurisdiction of the provincial government or the municipal government. You're under the jurisdiction of Health Canada and their Privacy Act. Same privacy that I'm suing them for on behalf of 36,000 of us. 41,000 of us that they breached their privacy. This shit just seems to never end. At the same time, you know what? That's what activism is, and you gotta just keep pushing forward. All said, this is Jason Wilcox. It's been a hell of a 2-hour show. I didn't expect to do this. I just wanted to talk about the constitutional victory of the 150 gram limit being ruled unconstitutional. It's only case precedent setting for that individual right now. They've asked Health Canada to change their regulation. I'm sure they're going to change it to something stupid, but I believe that, for instance, could be added to Mr. Conroy's dispensing case. And there's a lot of other mitigating factors. There's a lot of other issues with the Cannabis Act that can be added to that case, and making a sound constitutional challenge as to why this apparently is omitting patients, and we need to have a separate proper program that does more than say, hey, you can grow cannabis because you're medical. There should be more than just that. There should be education. There should be proper dispensing. There should be frontline workers, that you're able to directly work with. The same applies. I mean, what do you have with the pharmacist? So it applies with everything else. It should apply with this if they're going to take that route. All said, I hope you guys can. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And again, I hope to see you up at Redbeard's. And if you can't make it up there, then stay tuned for what we can capture. We'll try and get it edited as fast as we can and up online. And yeah, what can I say? I'm messed up from high voltage. So yeah. Don't check out that name and take a look at their color, because it's, you get that milky, almost like a cream color. It's quite amazing. Anyway, all said, this is Jason Wilcox once again signing out. Everybody have a wonderful day. I love you.